Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of EETV, where I've tried to bring you everything in entertainment, and as promised, here is my speculation on to how things will proceed in Trigun Stampede episode 12. Now, we already know what happened with Vash currently being in the petrified state, and Knives has gone through the portal, and now he's going to touch the core. Now, what I think what's going to happen is Vash is going to be able to break out of that petrified state, and he is going to activate his gate, and that is what's going to cause the entire destruction of the city of July. And I just want to see how this happens. Will it be sucked into the dimension, or will well, I'll just say this. I'll say this right now. Everything being pulled into the gate. Now, you see, it was kind of like a black hole. I'm speculating now because I'm only going off of what I've seen in the anime and not the manga. Now, you can see when he first activated the gate, when Knives cut his left arm off, and when the arm fell to the floor, it got sucked in. So it was like almost kind of like a miniature black hole. And remember what William said in episode 11, Vash's ability is to be able to send and take from the dimension, which means basically, break it down, he can take things from the dimension and bring it into our dimension, and he can takes things from our dimension and send it into the higher plane, the dimension where the energy is at. So I'm speculating that Vash will, like, that is, he has access to the dimension, and he can basically create a portal. And since he does not know how to control it yet, he can't regulate it, and it just opens up and sucks everything in. So I think that July is going to, if it's not going to, it might be destroyed, but then again, it could be also sucked in to the next dimension. Either or. I think it'll be better for the plot if July is destroyed instead of just sucked in. But this also speculates that maybe he could get his arm back and reattach it. But who knows? We'll find that out soon. But I just want to see how this happens, because the CGI for Trigun Stampede has been very good. So I would like to see how this happens. I mean, are they going to do it in the vacuum effect that happens when someone is in space, or are they going to do it more to akin of a whirlpool effect? Well, our question was kind of answered when his arm was sucked in, so I'm assuming that it might be like that, but on a much bigger scale. So I cannot wait to see this and how it plays out, but I think that's going to happen. I also think something more is going to happen with the first independent that was born, Tesla. I'm not sure how she's going to participate in what's coming up, but seeming as she was still alive when they accessed her cryo sleep pod, I think she might have more to do with the story. I don't know, and the reason why I say I don't know is because it's not seen whether she survived the crash or not. Who knows? I think it could have something to do with it. But I want to see what's going to happen with that. And also, one final note, I want to see how Vash is able to come back. Like, what will be the trigger that allows him to come back and be able to fight off Knives. But remember, like with anything else that happened, when he comes back, he's going to be a shadow of his former self, because all his memories have been manipulated. So remember, like in the first adaptation, and also those of you who read the manga, when Wolfwood found Vash, it was some time later, and he was all scraggly with a beard, and, you know, living a completely different life. That's how we're going to find Vash after this happens, and Wolfwood is going to be the one to find him, because remember, in the middle of episode 11, he was there with Roberto, and he was thanking him for the pack of cigarettes, and he was thinking that he has a choice to make. Now, with his contract being fulfilled, that the Eye of Michael will no longer take children from the surrounding area or Hopeland Orphanage to the pilgrimage, his contract has been completed, and he has fulfilled his top goal of making sure the children of the area are safe. And seeming as they will be safe until Knives enacts the next portion of his plan with the mass extermination of all human beings from the planet of No Man's Land. But before that, the children will be safe for now, but also he has fulfilled his purpose, so he is going to recall what Vash has done for him selflessly, and he's going to be the one to find Vash and bring him back, just like they did in previous adaptations, which is going to be a plus. What I hope they do, I hope they go a little bit more in this story, because in the first anime adaptation, we only got to see a little bit, only like one episode of Vash living that completely different other life before he went back to try to stop Knives. I hope they show more of him and how his character can be fleshed out during that time when when he doesn't have all his memories yet. I also I am curious to see. I guess it's going to be the same as before, even though we have not seen Chapel in Trigun Stampede, or we could possibly see him later. I don't know. I want to see how Nicholas D. Wolfwood, if they have him being killed in this adaptation like they did in the previous adaptation, how's that going to fit into the story as well. And seeming as we know that Roberto is no longer with us and Meryl is out on her own, now we can say with her it's going to be some years. Now I don't think it's going to be hundreds of years. I think it's just going to be a short amount of time, and we're going to see what's happened. I think now, since Roberto's gone and July is going to be destroyed, that Meryl is going to switch jobs, and she's no longer going to be a reporter, that she's going to switch over to being an insurance agent, and that's when we'll finally be introduced to Millie Thompson. And also during the second season, because I know a lot of people did not like Trigun Stampede. See, now I think this also just my opinion, I could be wrong, but from everything I've watched in the first 11 episodes, to me, this seems more like a prequel, and that's going to be continued into a sequel, but also being a slightly deviated alternate retelling of the original Trigun. That's what it feels like to me. And I think a lot of people are going to get more on board with season 2, because season 2 is going to remind us more of the first anime adaptation a little bit more, but with some slight tweaks because of everything that transpired in the first season. I want to see how far Knives' plan goes. And another thing that I'm speculating, because I'm only going off of what I've seen in the anime, because it's even though they've taken more things from the manga, they've also taken slight deviations from the manga as well. Now, you know that Knives has enacted his plan to have plants rule, and forcing the plants to have multiple independent births, because a birth of an independent is a rare thing, because we've only gotten 3 of them so far, but now we're going to have more. Now, with Knives being who he is, he is also being very arrogant, because each independent is an independent. They have their own personality. How is he going to control this? Now, I know you're just going to say, like EETV, he is going to control this. That's why he's going to touch the core, so he can more so have control of these independents, and they can be like-minded like him, but also having just a small portion of free will so they can enact his plan. I think that's also going to go wrong when Vash breaks out of his petrified state. It's going to prevent him from touching. He's going to prevent Knives from either touching or completing his corruption of the higher dimensions core, which means either A, the birth of the independents will not happen, B, the birth of the independents will happen, but only a portion of them will have free will, while the other portion will be able to do their thing. But we're going to find out what's going to happen, and I'm going to have to do my due diligence and research to see if season 2 is going to be greenlit. I really do hope it's greenlit, because it'd be a shame for them to leave it off like this and not continue it. Like, once again, a lot of people disagreed with this, but once again, if you look at it through the eyes as this is an alternate retelling with incorporating more of the manga, but also that they took certain liberties in order to make the story better, give it a chance before you shoot it down. I mean, just because it doesn't look the same as it was before, give it a shot. Before you blast it, just give it a shot. And I know, believe me, because I looked at the first 2 episodes and I was like, I don't know, man, this does not look good. You're gonna spend all this money, had this fancy CGI, and it's looking pretty crappy. But ever since episode 3, they've been turning it around, and I think they've done that on purpose. I think they have purposely made the first 2 episodes like that to get you pissed off, to get you interested, and then flip it around, and now it's going to be good. And if they purposely did that, good for them, because that shows that they're really paying attention to the fan base. And not only are they trying to make sure that the older Trigun fans like myself come back into the fold, they're also trying to bring new fans of this anime into it as well. Because remember, we do have some among us in the community, in the anime and the manga community, who look at the classics, say, "Oh, that's nice," and like, I watched it, or I didn't watch it at all. There are many people who are hardcore anime fans that have either not even watched classic anime, or have partly watched it, or have watched the whole thing, was like, yeah, that's nice, but yada yada yada. So I think that might have been a deal to get the newer fans in here, like, hey, don't just shake your head at the classics just because you don't like the art style from back in 1998. Here is this new updated version of Trigun. What do you think of this? And I really hope this is successful. And the reason why is because I'm just not thinking of Trigun, because I'm a Trigun fan. Imagine other classic anime and they get alternate retellings by their original authors and pull in more of the material from the manga, and whatever the artist thinks would do better or come closer to their original vision, they should be allowed to do it. Now, can you imagine, except for Bebop, except for Bebop, yeah, Bebop is not to be touched. It's fine just the way it is, unless, well, no, I'm not gonna touch it. No, I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna touch Bebop. Okay, so not only classic anime, but look up other anime, and what would be the best example of this are animes that had fantastic mangas, but the anime was kind of like on the cusp of doing something good, but only had a few good episodes, or it was completely not like the manga, and you're like, man, they could have done it so much better because the source material is great. This is why I wanted to be successful, because of manga and anime translations like that, where you have an awesome manga and then the anime is kind of like half-baked. This will allow those IPs to be brought in again and done the right way. That's what I'm hoping with this. That's what I'm speculating. But back to Trigun. This is great. It's going to be done. Season 2 will be a lot better than season 1, and we're going to see more fans, more so, coming to the fold with season 2, and they're going to be like, how come we can't do this all along? But you can see how they were trying to bring in new fans, and not only that, draw in more of the story from the manga. Because if you haven't read the manga, read the manga, read the manga. The manga has a wonderful story, and it goes into a lot. And, you know, making an anime, which is very expensive, even by today's standards, even though they cut the cross by doing CGI instead of more hand-drawn anime, it's still very expensive. And to take an artist's complete vision and bring it into the light of an anime and have it retain all of the same properties of the original IP is difficult. It is. So I really hope they can pull this off, and they're doing a good job so far. Hopefully they don't drop the ball at the goal line. And I'll just throw this one more in before I close this video. This is not the first time that we've seen this. Those of you who are also fans of Full Metal Alchemist, remember the first adaptation of Full Metal Alchemist? Oh, huge, a lot of fillers. First adaptation of Full Metal Alchemist, a lot of filler there, filler everywhere. Then we've got Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and that was more true to the manga without all the fillers. See, much better. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, Trigun should have done the same way, because each anime is its own IP, and how the original author or whoever's associated with the manga and the anime has to do its own thing in order for it to be unique. But you see what happens when you give something a second chance and you go more closely related to the source material, you'll come out with a better product. So I'm just thinking that if they do that, all will be well. Don't give it so much hate. Watch the last episode coming up next week, episode 12, and then join us for season 2. Hopefully it's greenlit, and we will see some stuff that I think a lot of people will enjoy. Like, share, and subscribe if you feel like it. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.